Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Sam Maggi, a culinary mentor and chef with Basics Market. And for this class, we're going to be making two quick and cool soups, a couple chilled soups. And they're really nice and simple to make. And you'll need a blender or a food processor and a few ingredients. And away you go. If you have any questions as we go along, just type them into the Q&A box. Let's go ahead and get rolling with some chilled soups. So the soups I have for you, maybe a more apt title for this class would be chilled berry soups. What do you say? Chilled berry soups? Well, yeah, I have two berries here. This is a berry and this is a berry. Melons and tomatoes are both berries, and we're going to be doing a gazpacho, which is a traditional soup from the Iberian Peninsula originally, which is southern Spain and Portugal, and that's where gazpacho originated. And then we're going to be doing a nice cantaloupe soup. So let's start with the gazpacho. So for the gazpacho, you're going to need some tomato juice, 3 cups. So I have that here. And you're going to want to use a tomato juice that you like the flavor of course, and having an, kind of a nice thick tomato juice is good. Right now, it is tomato season, so we have a choice of all these beautiful tomatoes in the market, and I picked up a variety here. There's a beautiful local ripe red tomatoes. We have some kind of pear cherry tomato mixture, different colors, and some heirloom tomatoes, which always have a lot of flavor and come in some cool different colors. Like this one is zebra striped with orange and green. And then here's just some nice vine ripened red tomatoes. So you have the tomato juice, and then we're going to be chopping up some tomatoes as well. So to get started, let's go ahead and slice up all our vegetables and have them prepared. So for the gazpacho, basically we're making a base, like a soup base, and then we're going to have our vegetables chopped up, and we're going to add those afterwards. Now you can make the base ahead of time and then have your chopped vegetables separate, or chop them as you need them, and then keep your gazpacho base in the refrigerator and then just use it as you need it, and that way it will last longer for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll start. I want to get all the veggies ready, so I'm going to chop up a 1/2 cup of scallions, which are green onions. So these I've just simply rinsed and then taken off the first sort of outer layer of the onion, and I'm going to take the root end off. And as always, there's no actual cooking here, which is nice for the hot weather, which we're experiencing right now. These chilled soups are really nice on a hot day, something where you don't have to turn an oven or a stove on. So I'm just going to slice right down, and we're looking for a 1/2 cup. Here I'm utilizing my claw to hold the claw hand, which is this style, right, where we have our fingers curled in, and I'm just securing the green onion and then slicing right down along the scallion in thin cuts. Gazpacho, originally, it's in its original form, there weren't any tomatoes involved, and now we think of it as a tomato-based soup, which it is in its modern incarnation. But originally, it was a soup that was designed to utilize stale bread. And so I do have a hunk of bread here, which I'm going to put in, and still in many areas, gazpacho is served with some kind of hard bread chunks put in there. But yeah, the original gazpacho recipe, which was spread around Europe by the Romans and originated in the Mediterranean somewhere, was like olive oil, vinegar, stale bread, garlic, and water. And it was really a way to utilize the bread. And we have all these dishes, right, in cooking, in the history of cooking, which are designed to use stale bread because we want to use up everything we had. We did. There wasn't always access to everything, and it is still good to utilize everything you have. So anyway, this is you can use bread or not, but I have a little bread to see what that's like. So there's our half a cup of scallion. And now, next, let's go ahead and prepare the tomato. So I'm going to use these because these look nice and ripe. And I can tell because of the color, and they're just a little bit soft. And I imagine they're very sweet as well. So for the tomato, I like to just go in the top and cut out that stem. And we'll do that with these two. We only need half a cup of the chopped tomato. Now with the gazpacho, you can really add anything you like as far as veggies and seasonings. This particular recipe does not have garlic, but you could put garlic in it, and it would be good if you like garlic. And for the tomato, I'm just sort of chopping it, rough chop. These are what are sometimes in classic French cookery, the way that soups are set up. These would be called your garnishes. So you'll make the broth or the base like we're doing here, and then you'll have garnishes, which will be your diced, in this case, diced tomatoes, celery, and all these veggies. So it's about half a cup or so. And I'm going to go ahead and use a towel to get rid of some of that extra juice. A nice juicy tomato. All right, and then just for some color, I'm going to throw on a few of these pear and cherry tomatoes that are some different colors, some kind of purpley and some yellow ones. And for these, for the smaller tomatoes, I'm just going to cut them in half. And you could cut these in half or a quarter, or, of course, just use any kind of tomatoes. Hopefully you have some tomatoes growing in your garden or your yard that are ripening about now. Okay, so there's our tomatoes and our scallions, and now some celery. So here's some celery, which I've simply rinsed, and now I'm going to cut off kind of the wide, rough end there, and also the tip and tip top. And then this stuff is always good to save for, say, soup stocks, things like that. You can always use this sort of material, put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer, bring it out later for making veggie stocks. And you'll notice this recipe does use broth, and you can use chicken broth or you can use veggie broth if you want to keep this vegetarian, vegan. You can definitely use a veggie stock in place of the chicken stock. And what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of doing a nice small dice for this celery garnish. And we're going to use just a quarter cup of celery.
Chef Sam, a couple of our viewers are not able to see what you're doing on the board from the front. So wondering if you could move the tomato juice
yes,
and
I'm
a couple things
sorry.
over.
There we
Thank you.
go. Yeah, it's, yes, so the tomato juice is here, but I'm going to move it over to the side. So it's about a quarter cup is about one stalk of celery, it looks like. So that's good to know. And then we're going to go for half a cup of cucumber. Now the cucumber, you can use any cucumber you like, an English cucumber or a Persian cucumber. Here's a cucumber which has a little bit of a tougher peel, and so you can go peeled or unpeeled. The peel has a lot of beautiful color and of course fiber and things like that. But I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to kind of do the method of partially peeled. So we still have some color, but we're not going to get, it's not going to be quite so chewy. So I do this with eggplants as well, where I just kind of do stripes like this. And it makes it easier to eat, but you still get some of that nice flavor and a bit of, or color and a bit of flavor from the peel. And to start, I'm going to start with half because I think that will be enough. And you can either seed or not the cucumber, and I'm just going to seed it just because it's, it's always good to see how to do stuff. So to seed the cucumber, I'm just going to use a spoon and scrape out my seeds. And we're just going to, let's see, because I like to say you want to have a compost bowl nearby, which is always good to keep on your kitchen counter when you're using vegetables and fruits. So anyway, there we go. There's our good half a cucumber. And again, I'm going to julienne like I did with the celery, and then cut across to make small dice. And I'm just going to kind of keep everything in that same sort of dimension, which is small dice. And this will be, should be about half a cup, which is half a cucumber. So perfecto. We'll throw that in our garnish bowl, and we have half a cucumber for something else. Okay, and then we have an avocado. And so here's a lovely avocado. And here's a neat way to cut the avocado that I've been liking lately is we'll go around like this, cut in half, then flip it. And then we're going to cut again. So we have quarters basically. And then these quarters, well, somewhat, it's like I got thirds instead, but these thirds can pop right off the deal. I don't even know how I did that, but there you go. And it's a good avocado. All right. Well, I guess it is quarters. I just have like one tiny one. Now from here, to dice it, you can just run our knife down to the skin and then across, and then pop that dice. And we want about half a cup. And, with this avocado, this size of avocado, it'll be about half the avocado. And I'd be tempted to throw the whole thing in because I really like avocados. And with this recipe, once again, you can really make it your own. Add all the things you like. There are so many versions of gazpacho throughout the world. And you can add meats, you can add fruits. You can add bread. All right. So here's our garnishes all ready to go. And now we can get into the blending. So I have the 3 cups of tomato juice. I'm just going to put those in the blender. And then we'll add half a cup of olive oil. And you can make a gazpacho without a blender, and there is even a style of gazpacho that's made without a blender, and that's where you just chop everything up, throw it together, and of course that'll be chunkier and kind of more like a little more towards a salsa, right? But that is a style of gazpacho as well. All right, the 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, and we'll see if that's about the juice of 2 lemons. And here I have my handy dandy citrus squeezer. We'll utilize this. And we'll see how many lemons it takes to get 4 tablespoons. All right, I imagine this is 2 or 3, 2. Oh, yeah, shucks, it's just about 4. So that was a good 1 lemon there. And once again, if you want to add more lemon juice, you can. All right, 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1/8 of a teaspoon of Tabasco, so that's pretty, or to taste, so just a splash. You've got your salt and our pepper. And we've got a little bit of paprika. Okay, and now we can blend all these things together. Ooh. Okay, so we got it all nicely blended. And we're going to add a 1/2 cup of chicken stock. Thank you for the reminder. So go ahead and zip that into there. Try not to get it all over the place again. This is a powerful blender. All right, got it. Now that's everything. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put all our veggies in a large bowl. And we can go ahead and put our soup over it, or our soup base, I should say, right? And it's helpful to have all your veggies and your broth and your juice chilled, because that will just make everything cooler sooner. But of course, you know, you can put this in the fridge to chill. So there we have our lovely gazpacho. And then to serve, I will go ahead and ladle it into a bowl. Get plenty of the veggies. And that's really pretty, right? Very colorful. And then to garnish, if you want, you can put some fresh herbs. I have a little bit of Italian parsley here. just give that a simple chop. Some parsley, basil would be nice here, any fresh herbs you like. And then of course the crusty bread, just to pay homage to the origins of the gazpacho. And just put that in there. And there you go. It's a really nice, refreshing summer bowl. And we'll give this a little bit of a try. Yum. It's super delicious. All right. So there's the gazpacho. Now let's have a look at our other berry soup, which is cantaloupe chilled melon soup. So for this, you could use the blender, or you can use a food processor, which I am using just because I already got my blender all dirty. And you'll need 1 melon. So I have a really nice cantaloupe here. Local cantaloupe, it's really ripe. To tell if a melon is ripe, you give it a knock, and if it sounds hollow, it's good. And also with the cantaloupe, you're looking for more like orange than green on the outside. And it, if it has some scarring and stuff like that, that is all right. And in fact, that can denote ripeness as well. So I believe we have a really nice, ripe, juicy one here. And so what I'm going to do with this is chop it up and throw it in the blender or food processor, and we're going to grind it up a bit. So to get into the melon, I like to sort of take off the ends first, and then that gives us that flat surface, which is always handy when working with roly-poly veggies or fruits or veggies. And then we can just take the peel right off like this. And this smells nice and right.
Chef Sam, Ruby wanted to know if you had any tips on ripening melons.
Yeah, if you need to ripen a melon, you can put it sort of in a warm part of your house. By a window can work well. Let it get a little bit of sun in it, and it will continue to ripen. Okay, and from here, we'll just slice it in half. And then we get the seeds, the berry seeds, and we'll knock those into our compost. Oh yeah, it's a ripe one. The seeds just want to jump right out. And I don't want to, I'm losing some juice, but I want to keep that juice. Okay, now to chop, again, we're looking for flat surface. So I'm going to put those halves flat side down, and then just rough chop so that it will fit in our food processor. And it's a big one. Okay, I'll give this a whiz. And here you want to keep this a little bit chunky, leave a little bit of texture. So I'm going to use the pulse. And we're just going to get it to where it juices up. Something like that. You can leave a few chunks, which will make for a nice texture. And then again, you can use a large bowl. And we're going to pour that blended cantaloupe into the bowl. And now we'll add 2 cups of orange juice, which I have chilling. And again, it doesn't hurt to have everything chilled, including the melon. And for this, I think I'll use a whisk just to get that melon really integrated with the orange juice. Looks like soup, all right. And now we have a ½ teaspoon of cinnamon. And some lime juice. So we want about 2 teaspoons of lime juice, which is, about half a lime or so. And again, if you want more citrus, you can add more, or less, add less. So there's our citrus. And again, I'm going to whisk that stuff in to get it really nicely blended. You have a question?
Chef Sam, Ruby just wanted to share that her mom roasted cantaloupe seeds, so kind of like roasting pumpkin seeds, just plain.
Oh, wow. I have never heard of that. That sounds nice, though. I do like toasted seeds. What a neat idea. So yeah, Ruby, thanks for that tip. You can apparently roast the melon seeds as you would a squash seed. And one fun thing I did here is I took half of a melon. So you could do this with the other half, with the half of this melon that you utilized for your soup. Save half and use the rind for a bowl. And so here I just took the melon baller and I went around half of the melon and took out all the flesh like that. And then you could use most of these balls, put them into the food processor as you're blending the soup, but reserve a few for a garnish. And then we can go ahead and serve the soup. And you'll want to put this in a bowl.
Okay. Sam, do you have other favorite chilled soup recipes that you could recommend?
Boy, I have not done a whole lot of chilled soups. So I mean, these would be amongst my favorites. But it's a really neat genre, especially for hot summer days. Yeah, so I'm just gonna throw a few balls of melon in there, and then we can garnish with some, I'm just gonna rough tear some mint leaves.
And Ruby wanted to share that in cantaloupe soup in India, they put paprika in.
Ooh, wow. Really good. Yeah, that sounds good. It seems like this melon soup, yeah, you could really jazz up with some different herbs and spices that you like. Let's have a taste. I'm going to eat it out of the melon one, the melon bowl. Very nice. The cinnamon and the lime give it some really interesting flavor points. And then, of course, the cantaloupe is very present, sweet, and we have a nice ripe one here. So that is super delicious. And so you can keep these soups chilled in your fridge for several days. The gazpacho, if you don't add the veggies, is good for up to a week in your refrigerator, and then just garnish it as you go along. It could be a nice base just to have in your fridge, and then you can put it over like leftovers, even, you know, meats or other, you know, tofu, different vegetable proteins, whatever. It lends itself to a lot of different flavors. It's a good base. And of course, just straight up, like our recipe specifies, is super delicious.
And Michael suggests maybe a little dollop of Greek yogurt on the melon soup.
Oh boy.
Sounds really good. All sorts of good ideas.
Yeah, you guys definitely have great ideas with this, and that's what's so lovely about these recipes, is you can really make them your own and build upon them, and use all the nice summer produce that you come across. Well, there you go. That's 2 soups just like that. I hope you either have produced them with me with this class, or are going to soon. And of course, look for all this bounty of produce at our basics markets in the Portland area. And come and see me again at some future classes. And look at our website, basicsmarket.com. We have a lot of classes and recipes posted there, as well as tips and tricks for cooking, all sorts of things.
Chef Sam, maybe you want to tell them about your class coming up with Lindsay.
Yeah, we have a class coming up that is just in time for back to school, and it's some kid-friendly recipes, so that should be a good one, and I believe that's in 2 or 3 weeks here. So keep an eye out for that one as school is about to start up again.
Joanna wondered if you had a brand of tomato juice you could recommend, or could let her know what kind we used today.
You know, I grabbed a tomato juice, and I think it was Knudsen, and it's really nice. I think it is organic. It was in a jar, and I really liked it. It's good viscosity, nice and thick, which I think lends itself to the gazpacho. All right, well, if there are no further questions at this time, I'm going to bid you adieu. You can always send us any questions as you think of them to us online anytime, and we'll get back to you. Thanks so much for joining me for this class, and happy cooking.